Hello, everybody. This is Karen Reinhold here for Awaken Your Creative Genius online retreat, where we're learning more about and boosting our passion, our energy, and living the inspired way. And I'm so excited for you to be here, and I know how much effort it takes to sit and listen, watch, or just listen. And so first things first, before I would like our expert to say hi, and I want you to say hi. This is Kaya, so say hi to us.
Good to see you here.
Right. I think the video is bouncing between us, whoever's talking, so that's why I said that. So Kaya is our expert today. I'll tell you more about her in a moment, but first we need to land here. So I invite you to just thank yourself for being here, allow yourself to just honor yourself for being here, and I want you to start noticing what bubbles up for you and take action only on the things that make you the most excited. So I've already told you to have a journal, have something that you're going to write notes down, and maybe you only write down three things that go, oh, that kind of really, you get some kind of reaction to, some kind of positive zing. I don't know what it is for you, and then at the very end, I want you to circle your most favorite idea, because we're going to be listening to lots and watching to a lot of these online interviews, retreat sessions, and a lot of things are going to zip across your brain. So, and then for the extra step, I would love for you to go to our Facebook group and share that one thing that really excited you about what Kaya is going to tell you about today. All right, so now to really put the cherry on top of things, let's go ahead and take a few deep breaths to really land within ourselves. I know for me, I have to kind of like bring myself down to the ground. So take 3 breaths with me. So breathe in and out. And another one in and out. And as you breathe in, breathe out the things that you don't need to be thinking about right now. And with that, I feel like we are set to roll. And I want to tell you about KayaSinger. I love her last name because I am also a singer. We'll hear more about whether that has any significance in her life. But KayaSinger is the author of Wiser and Wilder, a soulful path for visionary women entrepreneurs. She's a mentor and an artist. Kaya has been empowering women to become the highest version of themselves for over 35 years. So right now, I just want to say, awesome, thank you. We get to learn from you. And she offers Wiser and Wilder retreats, workshops, and private coaching to help women grow a successful and soulful business. Her gift is in creating women's community. She intimately knows the value of finding your tribe. So welcome, Kaya. We're so happy to have you here.
I'm really excited for this. This is great. And I'm just enjoying looking at the painting behind you. It's so beautiful, talking about creativity.
Oh, yay. And yes, and you have this thread. Everybody has some kind of creative genius thread. And I even got an email the other day from a person on my list. She said she wanted to unsubscribe because she thought I was too presumptuous in saying we have gifts, that she has a gift. I was like, wow, that's really interesting. So let's start out with this question of creative genius. Do you think we all have a creative genius? Since that's kind of really at the top of my mind, and also obviously the name of this this retreat. So what is your take on that?
Yeah, I love that question. And of course, my answer is yes. Now, you know, just to be fair, there are probably people out there that aren't aware of what their creative genius is, okay? However, I believe everybody has it. And I do think that, okay, it's taking me into one of my stories here. So
that's great.
I am. I have a story for everything. You know, I went to school in the 1950s in the Midwest. I grew up in Toledo, Ohio. And the Midwest schools, public schools in the 1950s were not very creative. And in fact, they were stifling, okay? And seriously, I'm not exaggerating. They had us sit in straight rows. We couldn't talk to each other. We couldn't move. I mean, it was ridiculous, you know. It was the opposite of supporting creativity. And for a child like me, who was such a creative type and a visionary and kinesthetic, it was really horrible. And truthfully, I wasn't aware of my creative genius so much at that point because I feel like it wasn't really nurtured.
Mm-hmm.
I had a feeling I had it, but it was like nobody helped bring it out. And, I really feel like I had to recover from that. It was sort of a recovery thing for me, seriously, of recovering from from the bad experience I had of going through that school system. And and I swear at that moment that I ever had a child, if I ever had a child, I was never going to have them go to a school like me, ever, and I've kept that promise. When my son was born, I was a child. He went to Waldorf school all the way through Rudolf Steiner. It was just exact. I kind of lived vicariously through his whole childhood and thought, oh my God, if I had only gone to a school like that, because he is like an amazing creative person, he's a songwriter and a musician and just a speaker, and just creativity oozes out of him, and it always did from when he was tiny, because he was in a space where it supported it. So ideally, we can create that space for ourselves. And that's what I'll talk about more today. But
yeah. So you really bring up some really great points. First of all, you can really relate to one of my subscribers, because you might have, if you would have gotten that email back in the time, there was an email then, but you would probably say, like, I don't get this, and how presumptuous of you. Why would you think I'm that way? Possibly. So there are other people. So there's a reason why this comes up, because there are people, our participants out there, who are interested in this, but they kind of don't know why. Yeah. And then you bring up some pivotal points of, we need the space and we need the support. And so this is what I'm doing together with you as the experts, to create the space, create the support, so we can help.
Even if you don't get the space and the support when you're growing up, you can create it for yourself. You can create your own circle. And I really talk about the power of circle a lot, because I feel like we create that tribe or that circle, the support, all the things that give us support, we can start putting into our own circle.
Yes. Yes, we can create those circles. And that's even a part of being creative, because we're making something out of that wasn't there before. So tell me a little bit about that, because you say something about that in your bio, about how you have this gift of creating women's community. And how does that relate to creativity? How does that relate to gifts? How to put this all together for us?
You mentioned my book at the very beginning, and one of the chapters in my book is called, Circle Power. And another chapter is called Soulful Community. And I really feel like they go together a lot. To me, a circle is very creative in itself. We see circles in nature everywhere. Just you look around and you see them with flowers, with snowflakes, with, the stars and the moon. It's just there everywhere. We don't see squares in nature. A square doesn't exist in nature. It's something man-made, which is okay, but circles they take us into a place of our roots, of, even if we don't know, there's this feeling of expansion with a circle. And I think women, especially, if we go back in time, when women thrive in circles with other women, go back to quilting circles and women making tortillas together and tanning hides, or whatever women did all through history, sitting together in groups, doing our work, our creative work, or our service, or whatever it is. And during that time, we feel this kind of sense of not being alone, being with our sisters. We talk about our families and our children. We just, whatever women do, women just do that automatically together. So I feel that a circle of women will nurture your creativity, will nurture a part of you that just feels like you're rooted and grounded, like you're not alone. And, I could go on and on talking about this subject, because it takes you into another whole piece, which is community, which is important, because there's so much about community that I could talk about, but I'm going
Yeah.
to go to this one piece right now is that, people's mental health often is measured by how much community people have in their life. When
Mm-hmm.
somebody is really lonely and they feel isolated and they have nobody, they will go into a place of not feeling good about themselves, they disappear, depression, all that kind of stuff. It's
Uh-huh.
your health and your well-being is measured by community. And I think with women, we just need other women. So just being around other women and sitting in a circle nurtures community for me.
Yes, I couldn't agree with you more, Kaya. I love this, and this is actually not even in any part of the title or tagline of this retreat. However, it really is near and dear to my heart. In fact, I feel like me as a musician really came from not from a place of getting the notes right and having this real serious part. My musicianship really grew naturally from community as a young child. And so this is interesting to me because of that. I didn't have the nitpicky start with music, and it was really about the community and connectiveness. And here's another thing about the mental health that I love that you brought up. I tend to see a lot of creatives having health issues, which maybe come from the mental, and it's all kind of connected, mental health, physical health, all of that. I tend to see how we end up, I'm not saying every time we get sick it's because of this, but I'm just saying that some of those things I think really come from the fact that we're not connected, and how beautifully creativity can bring us connectivity.
It's true, and it's taking me into another part now. As you know, that I'm an artist as well.
Yeah.
Not in my present business, it's supporting other women to, bring their vision forth and be empowered and all that. But, my original thing was I was an art student in college. I was an art major, and I did pottery, which again was I loved the potter's wheel. It was working in round shapes, I could just sit and throw pots and make little bowls for hours, I paint though, and I started painting, and honestly, I didn't even know I could paint because I didn't do that in my art college, in my art time. But, when I decided to write my book, I really wanted to put a painting on the cover that I had painted. And this is crazy. I'm not a painter, but I started painting. And and I didn't know it was going to work. I mean, I have my book here. I can just show you.
Oh, yeah. That is so beautiful. I love it.
This is only the second painting I ever did. And I want to share this with everybody because, I painted on clay. Okay, I painted on ceramic stuff before, so I wasn't like completely foreign, but I'd never used real paint on canvas. And this is the second one, but it opened up a whole world for me. So, what I want to say though is that recently I've now created maybe 8 or 10 paintings in the last year or two. I'm thinking, well, I really want to incorporate this into my business, and I don't know how to do this. And I know it's got to be a non-linear way. It's the way I built my whole business. It's not been a linear follow these steps. It's been very non-linear. And I want to say this to people that are listening, because I think we sometimes think we have to do things a certain way. And there's this stress and there's competitiveness. And that's what makes people unwell that you're talking about. And there's something where you follow from your heart. You just do what you feel meant to do, like doing this painting. There's no, if I had really been maybe younger in a place that I didn't trust myself yet, I would have thought, well, who am I to make a painting for my cover of my book when I don't know what I'm doing? But I just thought, I'm just going to go for it. And my book designer will tell me if she'll think it'll work or not. And I was like, oh my God, is this going to be okay? And yeah, she said, I love it. It was like, there it is. But, I think people, it's, my one piece of advice to anybody that feels like, I really want to do this creative thing, but am I good enough? Or is anybody going to want it? Or do I have the credentials? Just let all that stuff go, because it's about following your heart.
Yep.
It's doing what you feel meant to do and following that path that isn't going to be linear at all. It's like a windy path, And,
Yeah.
And part of that windy path, it's like walking through a forest, you know, which I do a lot. You never know what's going to be around the next turn. Just beautiful sights everywhere. So you have to be willing to go on that kind of route when you're growing something.
Yes.
Whatever it is.
Yes, whatever it is. And when I talk about creativity, I don't know, I'm just going to say this for the record, that it's not necessarily a specific art form. There's ways to think, ways to do things that are creative. So just a little quick aside on that. You know, when you're talking about not doing not doing things a certain way, I love that you said that too, because yeah, we kind of maybe need to know a few things, but that's just like the maybe bare bones skeleton, or just one of the aspects. The other aspect that I feel like you were saying when you talked about we need to follow our heart is that we need to put ourselves into it. Like, we don't need to like put ourselves over here in a bookshelf and then do the business or do the art or do the whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You know, and, you know, of course, you know, I've had a lot of people come to me that want to get their business going. And that's sort of what I help people do. They've got a vision. They're a thing that they're passionate about. You know, my clients are all visionaries. So these are women who feel strongly about doing their thing, you know, whatever it is, you know. Mm-hmm. And it's not always art. It could be helping people, health and wellness, could be being a designer, many different things, you know. I have a client that makes wine. I mean, there's no end to it, really. Mm-hmm. Is that visionary people tend not to be able to follow a linear path. And it will cause a lot of stress to try to do it that way. And I mean, one of the pieces of advice that I give to people, which I'll share to all the listeners, is that you need to create your own way. It needs to be your way. Mm-hmm. There's not one way to make it work. There's your way. And if you follow your own path, it's going to be not only healthy for you and expansive, but you'll find your tribe and you'll find your circle, and you're going to be much more successful than if you try to copy somebody else. It doesn't work. Mm-hmm. Look at that person. They look really successful. I'm just going to copy what they did. And it doesn't work because they're following their path.
Yeah.
It's not yours.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. That's awesome. Wonderful. So maybe let's circle back. Yeah, that's kind of interesting, the circle. I love what you said about the circle earlier and seeing that in nature all over. That's awesome. What kind of advice would you have for people who are like, okay, like I am following your conversation, and then yet maybe they're having issues with having enough energy or creating that space of time because they have all these other responsibilities, you know, they have all these other things. How do they get back into their creativity, or how do they get the energy enough, or how do they kind of get started? That's what I'm wondering, how you might help a person like that.
No, I think that's a really good question. And I think that many people face that issue of like, there's something I really want to do, but I'm just not making time for it because I've got demands of my job or my family, and, you know, I've got kids. They end up eating all the time up. And I think that's a really common thing that I hear a lot. And so it's sort of circling back to the same conversation, really, because I think for one of the questions I ask people right away is, what's your vision for doing your work, whatever it is, whatever your creative work is that you're wanting to do and you're feeling you don't have the time for it? You know, I have people go inside and they go, what is your vision for it? You know, like, do you want to make this into a business? Is it a hobby? Is it something you just want to do in your part-time, your spare time? Get really clear about that, because I think people put a lot of pressure on themselves when in fact it's something they may not want to really do full-time. You know, they may want to just be a mom for a while, you know, and then when kids are grown up, do it. So there's no right way, first of all. But if somebody does really want to, like writing my book, okay, when I realized I needed to write it, I thought my first thing was, I don't have time. When am I going to write a book? I'm so busy right now with running my business and doing everything else I do. And yet I'm following my own advice. I had to go inside and think, am I really meant to do this? You know, I say I check in with your wise woman. That's one of the things I tell people to do. Your wise woman lives inside of you. She's your intuition. She's your feminine instinct. She knows. So it's like I checked in with her.
So maybe as you're doing this, is there a way of integrating how we could check in with our wise women?
Yeah, I will do that.
Okay.
Okay. A little story here. But
sure.
What she told me is you need to write this book because it's your legacy. It's your mission is to help people, and this is it. You know, this is really important for you. So what I did was rearranged everything to make time for it because I got that clarity that what I needed to do. So I think one of the things that people miss is that piece of getting the clarity. So one of the little exercise we could do right now for everybody that's listening, one of the things that I do is my wise woman, I check in with her, and where I see her living is inside of a tree. And trees are very powerful for me. Their roots are in the ground. Their branches go up to the sky. So I see her surrounded by a tree. Now, you might all see your wise woman somewhere else. So I'd say, close your eyes for a second and just tune in to your wise woman and where she is. She might be out in nature. She might be sitting on your couch. I have no idea. Just find her and don't question it. Just whatever you feel, acknowledge that. And just tune into her and ask her your question. And your question might be, am I supposed to do this at all? Am I supposed to do this more? How do I make time for it? Really listen, because she will cut through all the bullshit and tell you exactly. So just take a moment to listen to her. Now, you may not be able to do that right when we're on the video right now, of course, but I'm giving you the process. And when you're done listening, I would do this and have a little piece of paper, a sketchbook or a notebook or something. Listen to what she said and write her words down, because they are going to be powerful. It's like your feminine instinct, your intuition. It's listening to that. She may say to you, just do it in your spare time. Right now, it's more important for you to be with your children. You don't know it. And then you have to listen to it and accept it. And that was my little activity.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's great.
That most of the women I talk to that have this issue are people that are still in that mother stage. We have the maiden, mother, and crone stage for women, and the maiden is when we're young 20s, late teenage, and we're free spirits, and usually we've no kids left yet, and we just have space to take risks. We enter the mother stage, and it's like we feel the responsibility of the world, and if we're not raising kids, we're raising something, and we're just feeling a lot of pressure from work and all that. The crone stage comes, and there's more opening again. It's about just being a mentor for others and yourself. So I think the women in the mother stage are the ones that have the most difficulty with this question. And I want to tell you that during that stage, I felt like my main focus was my child. I can tell you now that I so don't regret that. He's an adult now, an amazing person, and I just see what I helped to bring forth. So I invite everybody to just tune in to really what you're meant to be doing. And you'll know that it won't last forever. The stages move on, and in the next stage, you'll have a whole different energy for whatever it is. And like I started writing this book in my 60s. I'm 69 now. And at 67, I realized I needed to write this book, and it's my main thing. So your life is just, it's like that windy path through the woods. You don't know where you're going next.
Yeah, and to hold this space of like it's going to be good, it's going to be amazing, and right now it's going to be good, and later it's going to be good, and it's just going to be different. It's like different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I see that every single thing I've done for my whole life, my whole adult life, I'll start with that. Because there were many things I I did, and this isn't the right thing. Trying to find your thing. You know how a lot of people are searching for what they're supposed to do. You know, what's their purpose. You know, and of course it doesn't come in that kind of lightning bolt thing. You just have to follow the thread. And yet every single one of those threads that I followed that wasn't quite right, they've all come together now. And every single one of them is part of what I'm doing now. Every one. So that's really I want to say that to everybody that's listening. There's no wrong thing. Everything will take you further into yourself, further into your truth, and further into what you're meant to do in the world.
Yeah, it'll take you further into that's good. I like that. It's also encouraging just to kind of like you're a light for people too, for everybody who can see, you know, you've gone through several different chapters in your life, and then it seems like they all weave together at some point, and we don't need to worry about that. We still need to keep listening and checking in with our wise women. And I love that you're really giving a lot of like advice to the ones who are in that mother stage, as you would say, because if the timing's not right for right now, that's okay. You know, it must mean that you are being called in maybe another direction in the moment. So.
Yeah, that's right. And it's interesting too that I'd say the majority of the women that are my clients that call for help are in that mother stage. There's that feeling, I want to figure this out, and what's my purpose, and I'm ready to get this business going, and I don't know how. You know, it's fascinating, but I think that it all works in the end. So following the thread and not making it so hard. And I wish that I had somebody older and wiser that was telling me this when I was younger. But it's interesting, the women that are a generation older than me weren't doing that. It's different.
Right, it's different. So there is kind of a takeaway with that, and that is just really connect. And actually, I do remember this as a child. I do remember I had my grandparents both sides living within like a mile or two from me. So I had family around, extended family. And I really saw how I could see the different generations and kind of gain some wisdom from all ages, which is what I kind of miss right now. We live kind of compartmentally in certain communities. I think that just we're not really a community anymore, and I hunger for that, and I know that others do too. So it's nice to just kind of hear you talk about your take on that as well, which is quite similar. So I could talk with you longer than this, but for the sake of the time frame here, we're going to move into what your free gift is, so the people who are adoring you and loving what you have to say, they can learn more about you through your free gift. So tell us what that is.
I would love to do that. It's called Crohn Medicine Tips. And I love the word, that title just came to me. It's called, it's basically wisdom from the source, wisdom from the roots, wisdom from the Crohn. And it's really stuff that's taken from my book, okay? And I pulled out different pieces of it and put them in an email, one a day for 14 days. So that's it. It's just one email you'll get for 14 days, very short, with a piece of advice and activity, something that will take you in your own soul more. And it's beautiful. It's awakeningbusiness.com/wild wisdom tips. I'll say it again. I know you've got it printed somewhere. Yeah. awakeningbusiness.com/wild wisdom tips. And that's it. You just can go and sign up for it. And I change the emails often too. So if it's something you're listening to this, you're thinking, well, I already got that. It might be different now.
Yeah, and it's probably good to have a reminder, even if it's something that we've seen before, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, this has been such a pleasure. I'm so excited to be able to collaborate with you and allow all of our participants to have gotten their ahas today. And speaking of that, everybody, I would love for you to take a look down at your notebook, your journal, take a look at some of the things that you wrote down. And I just want you to take a moment, 5-10 second moment right here, And maybe, how about this? Tune into your wise woman, like she talked about, with, you know, hers is a tree, mine's an eagle, and really kind of, yeah, and just tune into what your wise woman would want you to do, like which one of those three is like has the most energy and zing for you right now. And I'd love for you to share it in the Facebook group that you'll see the link for. So welcome. Thank you so much, everybody. And thank you, Kaya, for being our guest today. And I will see all of you tomorrow. Tune in again tomorrow. So see you later, everybody. Bye, Kaya.
Bye. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome.